Please, I shall call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shut this off. Okay. All right, we shall have roll call, please, Carolina.
Councilmember Curls,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes.
Mayor Wallers.
Yes. Once again, I will start out with my quote for the day. This one comes off the heels of Veterans Day. Thought I'd give a shout out to all of our service men and women out there. And this particular quote is from an unknown author. To our men and women in uniform, past, present, and future, God bless you and thank you. So if there's any veterans out there, servicemen and women, that one's for you. All right, we shall have, I guess we'll have to entertain a motion to approve if you want to. We all have the agenda for tonight's meeting in front of us. If there aren't any additions or corrections, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move for approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda as is. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up is the citizens' comments portion of our meeting. This is the portion of our meeting where we allow anybody to approach the council. They sure can do so. But we do have a scheduled guest tonight, Mark Lustari, is that correct? Lustry. He's with Inspectron, who is our new inspecting company that we hired, about a year ago already? And he's going to give us an update. So Mark, I'm going to ask you if you can come up to the microphone here, because all our meetings are taped. And you can just introduce yourself. And
Hi, I'm Mark Lustry with Inspectron, your building official. I'm actually your designated building official. Other people work under my license even though they are certified and licensed themselves. I guess I can tell you what we've done so far this year. 186 permits have been issued in your city. And that's a total valuation of property. I'm going to screw it up. Of $27.6 million in property value that we've issued permits for this year. We have, I don't know if you know who's running around up here doing our work for us, Michael Fredericks and Justin Anderson are the two inspectors that we have in this area. I can come up as needed. We have two fire marshals on our service as well. One is in training. He's got to go to the East Coast for a week in February to get his final certification. But he's been training under Dale, who is a fire marshal for Egan, or was for many years. He has been training under him for the past 3 years, doing the inspections with Dale and myself, doing the plan reviews and all that sort of thing. So when he's through that, he will be available as a fire marshal in the state of Minnesota. As far as state delegated projects or state funded projects, I'm delegated by the state to inspect those. So is Bill Barber, who is on our staff. He's also available to do that as well, and will come up here if needed. So we do all of that. We don't do the plan reviews for state. We opted out of that because we didn't want to take the time to do it. Let them make all the decisions. We'll just do the runaround. So do you have any questions or concerns? I should just open it up and let's get after it.
Yeah,
Let's get after it, Ken.
water heaters, furnaces. I paid $101 permit fee to have my furnace replaced in my house. I never had an inspector in my house.
Furnace AC unit.
Yeah,
Okay, we thought it was a water heater.
no, mine was a furnace
Okay.
AC unit. I just curious, and I've had some complaints from people that have done water heaters and said there was no inspections done on a water heater neither. And I guess my feeling is if we're going to be charging people to do this service, or we're paying your company to do it, there should be an inspection. And where are we lacking, or have I missed something there?
Well, there might be some issues with it. okay, not with the furnace itself. Did the contractor call in for the inspection?
I assume you did if I got the fee.
Well, you got a permit, but we have probably 40 or 50 of these permits out there that haven't been called in for an inspection. So, and that's not just here, that's around here. So until we get called, we can't go out. One of the other things we've been doing is we will have the contractors provide us with either a video, which is where we have all those out and around now, and we're trying to get videos in case we can't get there or they gotta move on. So we can have a video, and if we don't like what we see, we send them back, or then we go out for an inspection. Or we have them take photos. If we don't like what we see, then we ask for more photos, or we go back out, or we go out there and have a physical inspection. So those are the kinds of things that we're moving toward. The state electrical department now, if you haven't heard, is starting to do video inspections, virtual ones, because they can't get everywhere. So what they're doing is everybody's got an iPad, they go out, they have the guy go out there and they show them around the whole building and do a virtual inspection. We're not doing that yet, but it's going to get to a point just in the industry itself that we're going to have to start doing this. So I like paper. Most of us like paper out there, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for guys like me that are 61 years old to try and get our old mud hooks to work on those. But we do our best.
There was a time when that was considered just maintenance on your property instead of an improvement. I guess that was where I was also questioning on a replacement of something that's been in there.
Well, no, that's actually, there's a list in chapter 1300 of the
Okay.
administrative code that lists what does not require a permit. I
Okay.
have copies of that if you'd like it. I brought some.
And I just, on what's required and that,
Yeah.
we're, thank
Right,
you.
and so there's a list in the book that says you don't need a permit for this, a fence under 7 feet, or a retaining wall under 4 feet, which includes the footing, that sort of thing. But anything over that, yeah, then it's required a permit, and possibly if it's a retaining wall, if it's big enough, it requires engineering, and stuff like that. So there is a list in there, but the water heaters, roof replacement, windows, all that sort of thing has to have a permit and has to be inspected. That's by state law. So the reason for a window being inspected, and I gotta think about this because it's pretty simple to install a window, right?
If you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and most of them, 90% of them know what they're doing. You might find one occasionally that really doesn't have a clue. The reason the state requires that is for us to go in and check smoke detectors and CO detectors. So that way, it's a requirement when the windows are done that the smokes have to be updated. So that's another reason for getting inside the property to make sure that those items are working or replaced if they're not. And that's also why the state does that. I got other funny ones, actually really funny ones, but we won't go there.
Thank you.
So the permit, you have to have the permit and say we're doing a water heater. And that permit then includes the inspection?
Yep,
Okay, so if we're moving away from physical inspections, does the permit go down in price then?
Not
Obviously, it doesn't
necessarily.
cost as much to do a video or a picture to somebody to flip it up on your deal. Oh, that looks okay. You're out.
yeah, no, I don't believe you're gonna find that across the board anywhere in the state, that it's gonna go down because they're doing virtual.
But you can see how that's
I can see that.
discerning to a property owner. It's like, am
Yeah,
I paying for an inspection? All I gotta do is shoot them a
yeah.
picture of it. Well, if that's the case, then isn't the person that's installing it, aren't they capable of doing the inspection? And so then why does it cost $100? I think that's part of the problem with taking the pictures or the video is that.
I think also, what I should add, that the jurisdictions we do out here, not in the south of the metro, but out here, because we don't do metro ones. We do Mendota Heights, and that's it. Everything else is a smaller jurisdiction. Most of them smaller than yours are farm communities. Up here, we use the 1994 evaluation sheet from the state, not 97, not 2022, because we don't feel that added cost is appropriate. So we use something from 1994 for evaluating any property for a permit fee. If one day the state's gonna come and bounce off my head and tell me that I have to do 2023. Until they do, I'm not doing that. Because if you look at those valuation sheets, you can find it in Minnesota statutes, it's quite a lot higher per any evaluated permit. And the flat rates, I think those went up as well, but I don't do that. Because the people don't need that. They're, you know, we're doing as fair as we can.
I think it more stems too is that our contractors, let's use your window example. If you update your windows, you have to update your
Smoke alarms.
smoke alarms, okay?
Mhm.
Do these contractors, are they aware of these?
Yep.
Okay,
And if they're not, they get told on their first inspection that, hey, why didn't you change these out?
well, I get that, they're
Mhm.
told that, but I'm getting to the homeowner isn't told that.
Most of the
So-
time, they're not.
Right, so I'm finding that it's where we get, I have a problem with this is that I think that if people know what's coming, say, hey, I'm gonna get my windows done, all right. Now my contractor says, hey, as long as with this in this bid, you have to understand that you need to do your smoke detectors along with this. I think it's always these added costs onto something that catches the homeowner. It's like, well, I did my windows, you never told me I had to do it. Now I gotta spend whatever to do
$80
this.
a piece, I think.
Of course.
Mhm.
And-
I'm just guessing. I had to
and
do one
I'm,
for
you
my
know,
daughter, so.
But I'm saying from that side, where do we get with contractors? Where do we get with so that the homeowner or the business person knows these things in advance,
Mhm.
and it's not an added cost to their plan? I think that's where you get a problem.
I can see that the homeowners might think, well, sometimes they'll get hit up by a contractor. Well, that's not a good contractor because the good ones already have them in their truck and they already have it in their bid. So it's, yep, we're gonna replace those.
Now, is there somewhere, you said there was a website or something that you could go to that you would know these things or find out, or
Yeah, it's all in state statutes.
state statutes?
Yeah, 326B. Actually, there's another one too, but I don't have that off the top of my head. I'll probably send you to parking lots in St. Paul or something, I don't know.
Well, you know, Mark, some of the feedback that I've received out in the public is, I guess on the positive side of things, as long as we're being consistent. You
Mhm.
know, I talked to one plumber out there and he just said, as long as we're gonna be consistent from me to my competitors,
Yep.
I'm fine with it. So, you know, we spent the last year, I think, establishing some standards. So, and I think, you know, anytime there's change, you know, it's gonna be hard at times for people, but I
Yep.
think as long as we can stay the course and just, you know, maintain our standards, and you just indicated the statutes that you're following, so I think we're going in the right direction, I guess, is my thought.
And we do this in a lot of jurisdictions. Obviously, we're Benson, Appleton, Glenwood, and we're doing Montevideo too. So all the way through here, a contractor can't come walking in here, well, this town doesn't do that. Well, wait a minute, we're inspector on, yeah, you are. Because this town and that town and the one way over there are gonna be all the same. We actually hold staff meetings twice a year where we go to the Holiday Inn, I think it is, or something over in Maple Grove, because it's close for everybody. And we take one whole day and we sit down and we talk about this. And we make sure that every one of us, even though we don't see each other for 3 to 4 months at a time, is doing the same exact thing. And then we talk all the time. If something's going on a little, this is iffy, what are we gonna do? Then we all get on the phone and we decide what we're gonna do and we make it the same across the board. We're the only company, I think, that does that. I don't even think the state can do that. Because we're all, look at these things. I was a framer for 25 years. You know, everybody else out there work. We got tin benders, we got remodelers, we got 2 guys that came from books, everybody else came from the field. So we know what it's like to be out there first. And know what it's like, what the contractor's gonna think, what the homeowner's probably gonna come up with. So we try to make sure that everything is the same and try to make everybody feel good when they're done. You know, it's not gonna happen every time.
Do we have their numbers posted on our website?
I thought so.
If you don't,
I know Michael's name is on there.
Michael's probably on there
Mhm.
because this is kinda his turf.
Right.
Yeah, I've only talked to him twice today, so, twice.
I don't think that it's a question of whether you have to have the permit or these things. I think it's knowing that you do, or knowing what's all involved with it. So if I'm gonna do a project, you know, thinking about these things now, I'm actually gonna talk with you before I talk with my contractor or during that time frame,
Right.
because I'm not feeling that maybe my contractor's gonna be able to tell me all these things,
Right.
or wants to tell me these things because it's gonna, maybe it lowers their price, and as you say, maybe some contractors aren't consistent with that, so that's, oh, this is this price, well, how come yours is so much, well, I have all this stuff in there, and the other person doesn't, but maybe that's not portrayed to the consumer, so I think it's a good idea to have that on our website, so that if you are planning, in my opinion, it's like, okay, I need to talk to you first,
Mm-hmm.
what are the things that you're going to be inspecting and expect of the project, so that those are included in the project? I think that's what it boils down to, just knowing what you're up against and what you need to know, because I think the worst part about it is you get in a project and then, I'm sure you get it all the time, because you're always like on the back end of this. And you walk in and go, well, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, and they're, you know what the thing is, if you had asked that question first, you would have known that going into it, and I think that's that settles the consumer or the customer in the town that says, hey, I wanna do this, I know what is gonna take place, and then you don't have that, we don't have those kind of problems.
Right, we try to get to everybody and everything. It's not humanly possible to not have somebody upset with you. It's just, I don't know that there's a single person alive that doesn't have somebody upset with them on a regular basis, especially if you're married, but that's another thing, okay, you know?
A little communication, I think, is what Brian's talking about, goes a long way.
Yeah,
And, you know, we can work on that, possibly getting a link on our website, and, you know, that sheet
there
you were
is
talking
a-
about
yeah.
to Councilmember Miller, you know, with inspectable items, is it a real lengthy document, or is it
no,
one?
I've got a bunch of copies, you can each have
Are
one.
they like one page?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd like one if,
Yeah,
if you
There
have some.
is on our website contact information along with some resources and a building permit fee schedule on the website, but the idea of those hidden things, like a smoke detector, I would have never
well, we all know you need them, but to have to upgrade
updated.
or update
I mean, I
them
get as
when you're doing
as
a
a rental
window,
unit,
you
with
wouldn't
your own
click
personal
in.
unit, I would have never thought that, so those would be good to have on there.
So,
Also, Mike, do you, or Mark, do you, do we get reports, like, of how many inspections have been done?
yeah, that's all, actually, if somebody wanted to link up to that TV, I could show you your own portal. You have access to all this information, anytime you want it.
Are we?
It's on our website, well, you have to have a login to CitizenServe, but I can get you to that.
I mean,
Create
as a
one,
city,
and you can see it.
As our city manager, does she have access to the portal?
It was mailed out,
Where's the next one?
emailed out to every city, so somewhere, somebody could do it. So, all we need is an internet hookup to that TV, and in 10 minutes, I can have you guys in there looking at every permit that's been issued here. Every document, every inspection, everything will be on that screen. But you go to our website and you hit CitizenServe and you start your own login information, is what you do. And then it's public information, so it's all right there for you.
And part of it, anytime you transition from one firm doing the inspections to somebody else, it's gonna be different. How you were doing it is obviously different than what the previous inspection service did, so anytime you have change, there's gonna be some context, and that's part of the life too, that,
Yeah.
well, this is how I always did it, well, things change. I mean,
Yeah.
moving forward, hopefully, we're looking out for
Right.
the protection and the best of our citizens and the properties, and
Yeah,
to make sure it's done right.
that's important, because sometimes I find some real scary stuff out there. You know, you just do. So yeah, that's right out of the chapter 1300 in the administrative code. So those are the ones that are exempt from having a permit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good information, thank you. Any other questions for Mark? If not, thank you very much for coming in,
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
And she knows how to get a hold of me, so if you guys want to talk to me about anything, like I told Kevin, I said, just call me. It can be a Saturday night, I might have a few in my tank by then, but hey, you know, I'll still talk to you.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, you bet, thank you.
Yeah. A few in the tank, all right. We have no public hearings tonight. We shall move on to October 22nd, approval of our regular meeting minutes from October 22nd, 2024.
Was there any more citizens
Is there any more
comments?
citizens?
Pardon?
Anybody
Was
else?
there any more citizens comments?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, before I push right on through.
Okay, just I saw other audience.
Yeah, I'm
members
glad you caught that.
excited, so
And we
I
have-
thought, oh, somebody have something to say?
Are you the MPC,
From MCSA.
MPCA, or MP? Yeah, okay, great. Well, welcome. I got a heads up that you were coming to observe, so great, glad to have you here. Okay. We have, it doesn't appear that we have anybody coming up to the mic, so now we can move on to our regular meeting minutes approval from October 22nd.
I will move approval of the regular minutes from our October 22 council meeting.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a motion and a second to approve the October 22nd, 2024 regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we shall take a look at the condensed version of those minutes for the paper from October 22nd, 2024.
I will move approval of the condensed minutes from the 10/22/24 meeting.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the condensed version of the October 22nd, 2024 meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up is our consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda consist tonight of the audit of city bills, the gambling reports, application for exempt permit for the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association Palm Terre, pay estimate for Melrose Electric Incorporated for our Morris Electric bus charger, pay estimate number 4 to Joe Riley Construction, Inc. That's for our apron reconstruction and expansion of the municipal airport. And then we have pay estimate number 6 for Norson Construction, LLC, for the Morris Transit Garage addition. And the last item up is a Morris Transit report. And I guess I can move approval of the items on the consent agenda.
All second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the items on the consent agenda. I'll bring it back to the city council for any discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda. I can't remember the line item, but I see we had a ad for KKOK for $1,700 and some dollars for advertising for a transit bus driver. Are we, how many drivers are we down? Are we just, or were we down, or
One part-time.
just one?
We have one opening, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, good. That's all I really needed to know there.
Is the expansion out at the airport, is that all wrapped up now?
They still have a little retainage, so we still have to do a few, walkthrough items.
Okay, but pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm making the assumption that the charger's out at the
It
new
is,
transit.
yep,
And the transit, are they operating out of there now fully?
they are.
And when did
Yep.
that, must have just happened?
Yeah, she said today they're completely out of here, so,
Great, it's exciting. Happy for them.
yeah,
They finally got a home, a real home.
yes.
Good deal. Any other discussion off of any of the other items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second to approve. I'll just do a voice vote on this. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We shall move on to petitions, requests, and communications. First item we have to discuss is kids' fire prevention donations. And then we also have a reschedule of our city council meeting dated December 23rd. So I guess we can take a look at that kids' fire prevention donations. We'll need a motion, I suppose, to approve that donation.
Yep.
All right.
I'll make a motion approving the kids' fire prevention donations.
I will second that.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. That's very much appreciated. Was it 5,000 something? I'm just trying to pull it up here.
5,025.
Yeah, 5,025, yeah.
That's awesome.
Was all of that spent, do you know?
I think so.
It was, plus some, so just that it's accounted for, or if there was extra, where that went, but it was all spent. Thank you.
And that was from the business community at large, so that's kind of exciting. Yeah, it's good to see that.
Great.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve that donation. I guess I'll just have a voice vote on that too. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we have to discuss next up, rescheduling our meeting for our December 23rd. We'll have to pick a day. And what are you recommending, Becca?
I was thinking that we'd either do it, the 19th, so the Thursday before, or looking at, December 30th, which is the Monday. It's the 20. So our, next meeting falls on the 24th. Then that fifth Tuesday is the 31st. So I'd say either that Thursday, because we'll have to do the final budget.
On the sheet here, it says, did we already change the meeting from the 20? It's just the
No,
wrong date
it's
on.
just the wrong date.
All right,
Mhm.
okay.
We
So
could do it the Monday before. Oh, I see. It's scheduled for the
For the 23rd, yeah,
24th.
or 4th.
Yeah, yeah, because that's Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah,
So that'd be your fourth, third, yeah. So we need to change it to,
unless you wanted to do it on the 23rd.
Could we just do it on the 23rd?
I'd prefer the 23rd
Yeah,
over the
that-
30th and then the 30th.
Fine with
That
me
works
too.
for me.
That works for
We
me.
say the
Yeah.
23rd, that way it keeps us pretty close to our
Yeah.
2-week
Yeah.
schedule for our
Yeah,
payments and things that need to get taken care of. And
Yeah, I'm good with it. Is everybody else okay with that?
mhm.
All right. We need a motion or anything on that, or just, I think we're all
I don't think
okay
so.
with it.
Yeah.
23rd it is then?
Yep.
Same place, same time,
Yep.
on the
Okay.
23rd.
All right. We shall move on to, next up is our ordinances and resolutions portion of our meeting. We have 3 resolutions before us tonight. Our first resolution is certifying the election returns from November 5th, 2024. That's from our general election of the city of Morris. And I guess I'll start out by congratulating Kim and Zachary for getting another 4 years. Another 4 years.
It's like lost all of a sudden.
Congratulations, it's exciting stuff. So, yeah,
I'll make the motion of approving or certifying the election results from the November 5th, 2024 general election of the city of Morris. And also congratulations to Kim and Zach, but also thanking Cam and Annette for
Mhm.
participating, and please do again, or anybody else that wants to, please. More people that want to volunteer and do their civic duty, it's great. There's gonna be opportunities to do it in the future, so please don't give up. Please keep doing it, let's put it that way. Thank you. I'm thanking them again.
I will second that, and thanking you two for serving another 4 years and for running. And yes, don't consider the defeat a loss, just consider it a stepping step for those that are interested in trying. I mean, it's crushing, it's devastating to that morning after when you haven't made it, but there's always 2 years down the road or 4 years down the road, and if your heart's in it, yeah, run again. We need people to take these positions and serve the community.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the election, resolution certifying the election returns. I will ask for a roll call vote on that resolution, Caroline.
Councilmember Gross,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Culleton,
Yes.
Mayor Wallers.
Yes. All right, next resolution is, before us is a resolution approving the purchase of 1.57 acre lot from Riley Brothers LLC. Why 1.57?
That's just what it is.
Okay.
That's just what how big the lot is.
Okay. It is what it is, as they say, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of exciting stuff. You want to give us a little breakdown on how this shook out?
Yeah, so we've been talking for over a year on either expanding our liquor store or building new. So after all the talks, it was talked to build new. We still need to look at the building and the cost for the building, but securing land is probably our first step. So if you look at that last page with the resolution, it'll show you that little star asterisk is the one we're looking at purchasing. So it's a couple lots down from Morris Electronics. Yeah, so once we have that and we know we have the land, then we can, Whitney and Dean will be going out and looking at those 4 different liquor stores we talked about to see what we want in one and getting costs to build. But we have dollars in our reserves to purchase the land, so I think it's a good time to start and a good place to start.
Did I miss a price somewhere in here, or is it not listed?
It's not listed. We're looking at trying to negotiate with
Okay.
Joe.
Good, I
He's-
was hoping that.
Yeah. He's looking at $2.20 a square foot. So,
I like the location. That's right off of the end drive there, coming off the highway. So as they come in, it'll be right there. That's why you picked that one.
that is.
Aren't you the smart one?
Are we, and we wouldn't necessarily know, but are we concerned at all about traffic trying to get there, or, you know, crossing the highway there? I'm not,
Like foot traffic, are you
well,
talking?
no, because the amount of people that come through there on a regular basis, right? Potentially stopping, slowing up, potential accidents. I doubt we've looked at any of that because that's a traffic survey, right? But are we concerned at all on any of that? Probably
Haven't even thought of that.
haven't even thought
What,
about that.
isn't there a left turn
There is
when
a
you
turn
go
lane there.
into?
There's a right turn there, and there's a left turn
Onto between the
Yes.
Heartland and the
Yes.
Tripty,
So there's a couple of spots there as well, and you can access on the backside behind Heartland there too, and come back that way too. The only reason I asked is because I was driving that way to work yesterday, and there was a semi parked in the middle of literally right in the middle before the turn lane, with no driver in the front seat, hazards on. So that was part of my question too, was getting the beverage trucks in there on a regular basis, right? Like trying to make sure we have enough space for that, I guess.
And there's a frontage road there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's that buffer
True.
from the highway.
True.
And we really considered all the spots that
Yeah.
are available in the city right now, big enough for the liquor store and the parking lot, and that it has water and sewer already.
True.
It's pretty rare to
Yeah.
find a spot like that. And then Dean also had the idea to hopefully get out there because it's where most of our lodging is for hotels.
Yep.
And it's where the city is expanding right now. So
Yeah.
we felt it was the prime spot to pick from that's currently out there, but totally understand your concerns too.
I appreciate the logic. You've at least shown that you've looked into this,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to let's just pick one, right?
Right,
And I didn't question that at all, but
Yeah.
just those couple of things.
for sure.
Well, if we're all visionaries, we can picture this liquor store being in the middle of that whole development, right? Well, that's the goal. Someday, that'll be just one of many out there, so.
Just going forward, if we do, eventually, hopefully, when we do build there, just keeping in mind the winter time, the cold and the snow out of the northwest. Back in my old grocery days, when Holiday Warehouse was out by where McDonald's is now, it was really nasty on the north side of the building there. So hopefully, if we can have any of our entrances or things probably coming in from the east, potentially, or just keeping that in mind, or some type of a windbreak on the backside, but that was one of the nasty things being out on the north edge of town in the wintertime.
You'll have to start building trees, Jay.
More trees, man.
Plant some trees. That's exciting stuff, though. Like you said, Becca, to head this thing or start the conversation off, we've been talking about this for a while.
And just how expensive it was to remodel the current one without getting really anything that
Right.
we were looking at. So that is the process why moving forward, people to know that why we're looking at building new. And the liquor store is municipal, so all the money, extra profits come back to the city. So,
Right.
it makes sense to build something, and it's exciting that it's out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on that resolution approving the purchase of 1.57 acre lot from Riley Brothers Property LLC.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and before I ask for a vote, I just wanted to comment. For those of you who don't know, in the community, we use a lot of the revenues that come from the liquor store to purchase one-time things, usually for the benefit of everybody in the tax-paying community. So just an example, when we ran that water line from out to the spray park, we had to direct borrow underneath. That was all paid for by revenue from the liquor store. So we try to use our liquor store money for things that are gonna benefit the community as a whole. So every time you spend $1 there, just keep in mind that it's gonna come back to you at some point. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve that resolution, approving the purchase of 1.57 acre lot from Riley Brothers LLC. And I will ask for, once again, a roll call vote on that, please.
Councilmember Kurls,
Yes.
Dolby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Mayor Morris.
Yes. Okay, the last resolution before us is a resolution approving an ADA policy for the Morris Transit. Rather lengthy correspondence on that, but Becca, maybe you want to speak to some of that for us and highlight the big stuff?
Yeah, this is something that's required of us. We took mainly the model policy from the state to put this together.
If I can interject too a little, we are a rural transit system, so we receive federal and state dollars. And in order to keep receiving the federal dollars, sometimes there's loopholes that you have to go through, but this is one of the newer checklist items that we had to fulfill, was adopting an ADA policy across the state, all the rural transit systems. And so like Becca said, they did provide a good template, we just had to edit it in areas to fit our transit system, and so they did also require approval by the governing board, so that's why we brought it to you as well tonight, and then I will submit it to our project manager with the state, and we'll have that checked out.
Is there anything in here that was new or had to be added because
No,
of this
we
policy?
didn't add to the template at all, if anything, we took out like, word door, or curb to curb instead of door to door and such
Sure.
like that, so, yeah, we did not add anything to their required template.
When was this last updated or last
This is new.
new? Okay, I know we've done similar
We have
things.
something called a Title VI, which is different than ADA.
Okay.
But they are pretty similar to each other. That's on like race, gender, and stuff. This is specifically American, disability.
Okay, thank you.
So we've always had a no-show policy? I was reading through this and I read that. And
This is part of, luckily we don't have to utilize that, but a part of the ADA Act, we have to have a no-show policy in writing with this policy. So, yeah, this is more so just putting it in as a formality, but luckily we don't have a lot of problems with that.
Okay. Yeah, so I can't imagine unless you'd have a prankster or something that would just happen to call a random ride and our drivers show up and nobody there, but.
Yeah, I think our community is very appreciative of the service of Morse Transit, and I think they take it pretty seriously, and we try to be as flexible as we can as well, so.
Okay. Good deal. Any other discussion on the ADA policy?
Has anybody moved on this resolution?
Not yet.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion on the resolution approving an ADA policy for the Morris Transit.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for the ADA policy for the Morris Transit. Once again, Caroline, we'll have a roll call vote on that resolution, please.
Councilmember Galton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Corral,
Yes.
Mayor Wallace.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Next up is our city manager's newsletter. Take it away, Becca.
Yeah, so negotiations is the first thing on there. We've worked hard with the unions to come up with a tentative agreement. So the agreements will be taken to each union for a vote. So after they get voted, they'll come here for approval with their bargaining contracts. So you'll see those hopefully at the next meeting, if not the first meeting in December. Election day, we'd like to thank our election judges and staff who helped through the election process and our citizens who went out to vote. Parks, the water is shut down at all the parks. The lights on the prairie will be using Pomme de Terre Park again for their event this year. So we're hoping we have no snow like last year. That would be nice. Lead line assessment. So the state mandated a lead line assessment throughout all the cities in Minnesota. Widseth received a grant to do the first phase this summer. So they went around and knocked on doors, left notices to homeowners to take pictures to see what kind of line was from their house out to the street. So from that, they made a database that had which homes had lead lines, which had galvanized lines, and then those that were unknowns. Unknowns also included those if they didn't know what the main was in the street. That was considered an unknown because they didn't know if it would have a fitting that was a lead fitting on it. So if you are one of the people who got an unknown but someone from Widseth was out at your house, that is probably why it's a main that is unknown at this time if it has any lead in it. So letters went out. That was the next step. We had to send letters to anyone who had a lead line, a galvanized line, or an unknown. Anyone who didn't get a letter, their lines are all fine and good. So the next step is the state did allocate funding for this to update those who have lead lines. The city will have to apply to get those funds. So in the letter that the state provided that we used, we will apply for those. We ask that if they do their lines on their own, they can put lines in their own with their own funds. But if they need assistance, financial assistance, they'll have to wait until we secure and allocate funds from the state. So I believe from what Jeff stated, we can apply in 2025 and then we'll probably get allocated the funds in 26.
Do we know how many lines of lead they were? I've seen an awful lot of unknown letters that are very vague and could be taken as kind of scary, but then if you look at it, it's like, well, no, they're unknown. They had no idea
right.
So was
So,
there lead lines actually
There
found?
was, we had, I believe, 125 lead lines. There was a little over 1,000 unknowns, and a lot of that was probably due to possibly the main, on where they didn't see those, or our guys are gonna start going, into houses and talking to people who got those to see what they have in the basements, but
So
I
if
think
you
there
never
was-
had an inspector come and still got the unknown letter, what is that?
So the unknowns could be, they couldn't get into the house and they didn't know what your line was. So that could be one. So we've had some people that call us that said, yes, I know that I have a copper line in the basement. Okay, sounds good, we'll mark that down. And then some are because we didn't know what was in the street, so.
It just wasn't, I mean.
Yeah, it's not real clear, it's
No, it's
confusing.
not. It's
I got
very
the unknown.
I've got a couple unknowns for
Ours were
different
done
properties.
shortly after we brought our property, but it is copper line coming in the house. So if it's anything, I'm assuming it's out in the street, which I
Probably.
have the highest confidence. Jay was overseeing when that was done, so I'm sure it was done properly. So I'm sleeping easy at night knowing that I'm quite sure that mine is
Yeah.
in good shape.
So if
but-
anyone has a question, they can give us a
Call.
call, or we have an email that's just dedicated to this lead line assessment stuff.
Well, and I think, a little bit of feedback I've heard from people there, it's again, the fear of the unknown, you know? If these 1,000 people that you're probably talking about, you know, I wouldn't, I don't know if I can say it's probably intentional, but some people don't want to know. And they don't want people messing around in their house, cause they're afraid that it's gonna cost them some money, you know, so. And I don't know how you get over that, or how do we move past that?
Were you required to do anything about it? Was the state requiring if you have an unknown that it has to be checked and then followed through? It just didn't, when I read it, it was very vague and very like, oh,
It's
it
a
looks
lot.
like they have no idea what lines
Like
they
the
are, so we're
state
getting.
with a lot of vagueness with their
Well,
programs.
it's a state
They
program,
have,
so
yes, they've given us about 10 years to make sure all of our lines in the city are not lead or unknowns. So
Okay.
how that's gonna happen, we'll
Unknown.
get there,
We're not
but,
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
The main thing is we will, apply to get some of these funds to be allocated to us to fix those lead line issues that we
And
have
who
in
does the
town.
work then? Good question.
It is, 'cause we've talked about that internally on, do you have one main person do it, or do you have the homeowner go out and solicit bids and do it that way? I guess as we ask for the money, we'll see how others are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've had some of those conversations.
Do we know what the window is for application?
I don't,
Okay.
but
I-
we will make sure we get it in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Got some time to figure it all out, though, that's good, thanks for the update.
The airport board met on the 6th. We discussed the fly-in, and have a committee that was put together for the event. So, we talked about that a few months ago on that. Obviously, still more details to come out and be worked out. Some discussion was had at this board meeting about, if the county would help or could help with the plowing at the airport, when there are some major snow events. So Commissioner Wallers, will be discussing this with the county board. He thought that was a way the county could, help and allocate, for the airport. So, we'll see kind of what he finds out after some of their board meetings and discussions with that. The tourism board met and discussed analytics from the year. Click Content has stated that the social media outlets have been the best performers when it comes to advertising of our events. So their strategy has been to keep a social media presence all year. So it's not just random times when events come out. The board will be meeting with Click Content the next few months here to go over a plan for next year and to create some goals. So A lot of what we've been doing is just based on just events when they come in, so we're gonna kind of look at, planning, cause a lot of the events that we've had are year after year events, so we'll just kind of plan, and look at click content with how that looks throughout the year and then create some goals. So we have, some more with the budget on that, so. Speaking of budget, we're finalizing our budget for the meetings in December. So our truth and taxation meeting will be at our first meeting in December. And then at the following meeting, we will approve the final budget and levy. So we already talked about the date, so we will have that on December 23rd. So then our last thing here is the junior council. So we talked about having a work session after the meeting on the 26th with our junior council candidates. So there are 8 candidates. So my thought was have a few questions for each of them, give them about 15 minutes apiece. If we start at 6 that night, if our meeting goes till 6, then we'll be done and have our last one about 8. So just wondering if you wanted to keep it that night, if you want to have a different work session night to interview these kids.
What was that date again?
The 30th will be a Monday then? Is that what you're thinking, December 30th?
No, so
No.
we were gonna do
No, no.
it the 26th of November.
Oh, in November, okay, I see,
Mhm.
yep.
And that doesn't interfere with any sports activities, because we have candidates who are,
Oh, I
did we look at that?
I don't know, when I sent him the message, I just said we were planning on doing it the 26th after our meeting, so,
Well, it's a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
yeah.
In winter.
Yeah, there's
So,
basketball and stuff
yeah.
on that night, but
So I think that should be something that is maybe checked out. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are candidates right here? No? Something different? Oh, never mind that. No, not me!
Pick me.
But maybe you wanna be now, huh? No, come on.
Courtney, that's you out there, isn't it, Courtney? No, not Courtney? No, okay. all right, you may-
I think you gotta check into that so that it's not conflicting at least with the.
That would be my only thing, is, and maybe the candidates aren't in a.
So if they are not, do we wanna have a long night that night, or do we wanna look at doing doing it on a Wednesday, cause there's no sports on Wednesdays?
I can make either work.
I can make either work, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
If you just let us know which one it'll be, so we can plan accordingly if I do have other things going on, but just, yeah, either one I can make work.
So I'll ask their teacher if he can.
Preferably the Tuesday after, I
Yeah, if he
think.
can see
And
if
if that
any of
doesn't,
them
the
are
Wednesday.
have, okay. Sports, okay. Okay,
Just lights on the prairie, I know last year that there wasn't a very good job done of a cleanup out there after the lights were strung up and there was stuff out around there yet come spring. That just a reminder for them to please clean up. And
okay.
so I don't know who ended up, if they got a crew or if our city workers had to go out and unwrap, but I know there was things wrapped yet in the spring with Christmas lights that didn't get taken down.
Okay,
And I guess if we let them use the facilities, I would hope that that's the least they can do is clean up or get some volunteers to help them, but, I mean, it was well received and it looked nice.
Bigger and better this year, I'm told. All right. That's a wrap.
that is,
Any questions off the city manager's newsletter? If not, we shall move on to board updates. If any of you have something you'd like to share with the council on any of the various boards you sit on, now would be the time. Mine are happening this week, so tomorrow and Thursday.
Parks meeting tomorrow, 4 o'clock.
Where's that meeting gonna be at?
That is over in, the city office, in the back room.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else. Sump pumps and all that stuff should be long, probably switched over by now, I would think, right? We had that, we always have that conversation.
Just a reminder for our citizens, yeah, to switch your sumps back inside so they don't freeze up or you have
Yep,
issues.
it's gonna eventually get there. All right, is there any other business to come before the council? Hearing none,